Hey y'all, welcome back to the Bet on Black podcast. Today I have Samuel Oni with me here.
Hi. Thanks
Sam,
for having me.
of course. Sam, we've known each other for a bit of time. You are like low-key one of my oldest friends. Like when I was thinking about that, I was like, so we met 2017 for Hoya Sachs, 2018. Okay, 2018, Hoya Sachs weekend, Georgetown University. We were just young bucks, just... I knew that I was going to go to Georgetown. Did you know you were going to go to Georgetown?
You know, it was that weekend that kind of solidified it for me. I went to a lot of accepted students weekends and I didn't have any fun, just got a lot of information. And
where else did you go?
I went to the Rutgers Honors College accepted students weekend. I got invited to I was waitlisted, but I still got invited to the accepted students weekend for UPenn.
Oh, period. Wait a minute.
I got waitlisted.
I mean, that's something.
But yeah, I didn't feel as bad as not getting in.
Yeah.
I didn't end up going. Went to Georgetown. So I felt, because I got waitlisted at UPenn, I didn't feel very accepted. I just went to Georgetown after getting to go to the Hoya Sachs weekend. My sister had a great time there because she went as well.
I forgot that. Yeah, your sister did go.
DC was just a really great place, and I feel like there was a reason I was there. So
yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. In the time that we've known each other, I've seen you go through a lot of changes. We've all just in life, from 18 to 24, 25. You just turned 25, right?
Yeah, just turned 25.
We all go through so many different changes. Where are you at right now? What are you doing?
I'm a corporate marketer. I've worked at several agencies over the past 2 years since graduating, and I've just had the opportunity to work with brands like Snapchat, Walmart Connect now, and my first place of work was Hearst Magazines. And generally, it's all marketing. So creating presentations, matching brands with brands, and making sure that the mission that we're trying to fulfill on a campaign, like awareness or something like that, is really just going through all the way. But generally, it's just a lot of communication, a lot of expressing what the express meaning of something. I said express twice, but just getting someone to understand the purpose of what we are fulfilling. Layman's terms for other teams and things of that nature. But separately, I get a lot of time to work on my brand. Consistently been working on that, given it's a passion project since graduating. I assume we're going to get more into the timeline of the brand and everything. Yeah,
but I do want to start off with, okay, so your brand is called Bushboy.
Yes, it is called Bushboy.
And who is Bushboy?
Bushboy is kind of our figurehead. My dad called me a Bushboy growing up, so it kind of stuck. I was playing in the woods a lot. I wasn't doing a lot of what the other kids were doing, so he'd be like, "Who are you? Are you a Bushboy?" You have no home training, and it was just kind of cute. I remembered it when I was graduating Georgetown. I had the opportunity to direct Diamante, which was just a fashion show, which Kevin, who was a senior when I was a sophomore, had kind of led, but COVID happened that year and it never happened again since. And coming back in person, I saw an opportunity to kind of bring people back together in that space, and seeing all the brands that kind of came and featured their stories and the pieces and their culture via clothing. I just thought it was an untapped storytelling technique for me. And during my year at Georgetown, I got a chance to see my sister's wedding, and a lot of the fabric from Nigerian weddings is just mind-blowing. Stuff that I don't get to see every day. So I was like, what if I did get to see it every day?
Yeah.
And also express myself in my journey. Yeah, that's what I kind of did with Bushboy.
That's so funny that your dad called you Bushboy, because it reminds me, so you're Nigerian American, I'm Guyanese American, and something that they call in Guyana is buck, which basically is Bushboy, you're just wild, kind of this sounds bad to say, but the Amerindian kind of wildlife part of it. But I remember when I saw you launch the brand on Instagram, and it didn't come as a shock, because it just felt so genuine and authentic to who you are. It felt like you had found your thing. And I remember senior year, one or two times we would talk, walking from somewhere, and the common question is okay, what are you doing after school, or what's the plan, blah blah blah. And I think you had said, were you interested in finance, or or marketing, or just you weren't
I guess at Georgetown, the things I remember wanting to be, because I didn't have it figured out when I was,
because you were in the MSB, which is the business school.
I transferred into the MSB, and it was more because I felt like there were a lot of opportunities to do more there. I wanted to be an entertainment lawyer, and I didn't feel like that really canceled out because I went to business school.
Right.
And so I thought business school is kind of like an opportunity to go wherever I'd like to after that point. And I found marketing a really good opportunity to combine my creativity with the kind of just business focus that I was able to get there. And it's generally something I feel like really that aligns with my character. I can separate it from myself after 5 o'clock and still be a full person. And yeah, it was a long journey to find what I wanted to do at Georgetown. And I don't think finance was really ever
okay. Maybe I always think MSB and finance and like consulting, like it's all the same thing to me. Yeah. But no, that's really cool. So when did you launch? Like what year, what month did you launch Bushboy?
I launched Bushboy immediately after leaving school. Before I left school, I had started ideating because there was just, I was getting inspiration from doing Diamante, a lot of brand owners I was able to meet there. And I kind of asked them what they I was interested in making a brand. What do you feel like is necessary to do that? And I got a lot of help from the people that I talked to at that time. And from there, I was able to get an idea of what I wanted to do. So I'd say Bushboy started before I graduated, sometime 2022, going on more 3 years here in May. I'd say I've been having the name Bushboy and working on pieces accordingly, getting fabrics accordingly, and growing from there.
And at what point, because I feel like we all have ideas and things we want to do, but there's a moment where it turns from a vision into reality. So was there one point where you were like, I just have to give this a shot, like I just have to go for it, I'm gonna dedicate my time and my finances into pursuing this?
Leaving Georgetown, I had already had the name. I had already had the fabric. I had already talked to my parents about getting fabric from Nigeria, from our aunties and family there. Getting the first piece made. I'm wearing one of my first pieces right now on my pants. I was really focused on pants, and specifically what the fabric that I wanted to bring from Nigeria could bring to pants. So working on pants, I had to learn how to sew, given that I was trying to find someone to do it for me. And it's just really taxing. And like you said, spending money on it, it's like, I'm not even sure if someone's going to buy these pair of pants. I just got to make them good enough for someone to buy. And you have to find someone to sew them for you. But I didn't have that. So my mom taught me how to sew. And from there, I was able to really work on flared stuff. A lot of the jeans that I would work on in the beginning were just flared jeans.
So you were onto flare before Kendrick?
Yeah, no, I saw Kendrick and I was like, thank God that this isn't dead. Because I was like 2 years ago, I'm like, no, but like Migos had a run with it early on when we were in high school with flared. But at the time that we're in college, it's still like, you're not that artsy. Like, I'm not trying, I love the jeans, but I'm not sure if they fit me. Like, you know what I mean? And getting people to just align with that was kind of hard because you don't have that audience, you know? You're a very niche market and people are trying to associate with you. They like what you're doing, but you're trying to find where you can get people to understand your story. And while that was coming through on the jeans, it was just like maybe time to find how I can make broader pieces for more people to fall into this Bushboy aesthetic. Because like you said, in many cultures, there's this attitude of being separate from society, but still having the culture of the place that you're from, being buck, being bush, being a rude boy in some cases, but that's separate. Having just that in several cultures is something that I even saw as an opportunity for the brand early on. Like I hope to go to other cultures, collaborate with other designers in order to get these attitudes and fabrics and ideas fulfilled while still merging cultures. And that is kind of what I took from Georgetown a lot, a sociology of it. We're fulfilling a story and fulfilling a lack in the market right now just based off of combining our cultures. And community is something I really think is big. And those communities and people that I've gotten to interact with through the brand is always something that I've really appreciated. So I'd say.
I love that you said that your mom taught you how to sew. Even in another podcast that we filmed before, I feel like the theme of family keeps coming up. And it's so nice to hear that, especially in like the Black community, because a lot of times, especially if you're children of immigrants, like, you know, unfortunately, sometimes parents may not be as supportive, right? Because they don't understand this new era that we're in where it's like, yeah, you can actually make money from being a content creator or from being a creative, or like there's more ways to make money than just being like a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, anything like that. So when you first came to your parents with this? I mean, obviously you were still going to have a full-time job. So that probably put them at ease, right? It wasn't like, okay, hey guys, I'm graduating from Georgetown. You just spent all this money and like, hey, I'm going to be like a creative. But like, what was the conversation with them? Were they like automatically supportive? Did they have questions or any concerns for you doing this?
Yeah. Funny, I thought my parents always kind of did their role as Nigerian parents a little interesting because they did very much support me. And that's not something that's very common with Nigerian parents. But the way that I even brought it up to them was in these moments, like at my sister's wedding, like, Mom, where did we get this fabric? Because Nigerian weddings are so crazy to me because everyone will be wearing the same fabric, but a different dress designed by a different designer. But it's more about the community of wearing the same fabric at the same time. Right. Where did we get that fabric? Where did TJ get her reflective fabric that is two-tone and goes from this to that? And I know that people are going to find that cool because I think it's cool, Mom. And also finding this connection to my parents also brought me closer to them, and understanding their experience of coming to America from their lens, what their childhood was like and what they kind of brought to America and how I've adapted to them, given that I'm their son, things that they've made like predominant with me, brands that I've taken from them, bread that I've eaten through them. It's all just been a part of our journey in America. And they really love that. They really feel like, and I love that. And it is like a love story between me and my parents, Bushboy, because it's like, how many things did they teach me in a foreign land? And what happens when I bring a whole new thing to them and we just adopted this thing that we made together, and what that thing is new. That thing is new.
Have you been back to Nigeria since you started the brand?
Not since starting the brand, no. In 2020, my other sister got married. It was meant to take place in Nigeria partfully, but it never got the chance
pandemic.
Given pandemic.
Yeah.
So
it's always a pandemic.
Yeah, but I've gotten the chance to definitely talk to my aunties that are there about the fabric that they'll be sourcing for me, selecting my pieces, and just the brand being more about me being here and adapting to a new place while also still bringing the pieces and the culture that I learned from my parents.
Yeah. I find that so interesting. Like in your on the Instagram, you have a Nigerian flag and an American flag. So obviously, and you're being Nigerian. In this process, how has it been to sort of work through both identities?
Yeah.
Having the Nigerian culture in your family, people who are from there, born there. And
I was born there as well.
Oh, you were born there?
Yes,
okay.
I was also born in Nigeria.
Oh, when did you move to America?
When I was 1, my parents brought me over here.
Okay.
We won the visa lottery.
Okay.
So, and even the visa lottery, that kind of being a part of my family's experience of coming to America.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Is kind of what the brand has been about.
Yeah. Well, how is it, even though you were born in Nigeria, you spent the majority of your life in America. How has it been, though, like maybe reconciling some of the experiences that you've had being in America, but having a Nigerian culture versus maybe if you were to have stayed your whole life in Nigeria? I feel like children of immigrants who are like first gen, we have this kind of struggle a lot sometimes.
Yeah, it's like for me, it's like stories like the threat of being sent to Nigeria. Almost like when I turned 13, my parents were very used to a certain type of boy that they've seen their friends' children turn into. And seeing that
the comparison game.
Seeing the comparison between myself, who's adopting, because I had to learn a lot of facets of being Black American. The music that I listened to had to adapt to a general history that I was learning through my friends who I'd go to school with. But generally, the threat of being sent to Nigeria when I was like adapting and becoming who I was, becoming two parts of the same whole, was something that I feel like the brand speaks to and is a specific story that being brought to America and also being born in Nigeria is like paired with. But yeah, it's stories like that, and it's brands like Milo, Gege bread, and Peak milk, and other things that I've just gotten the opportunity to take away, going to Nigeria and experiencing, while also being here most of the time, is what the brand is about. It is Nigerian American, and it does utilize pieces of Nigerian culture, but it also is about a merging of American culture that I also had to adopt and learn. Like the jacket I'm wearing, for example, is very much inspired by Carl Kanai's first pieces. He's from New York. He utilized a lot of varsity jackets when he first started, but the colorway is meant to adopt Nigeria. The back of it says Ogun State, which is like a spin on a varsity jacket for a college. But Ogun State is where I was born, and it's a place in Nigeria. Ogun also has several meanings in Yoruba and other places in Nigeria. So it's just bringing it all together.
Are you planning a trip to Nigeria soon?
Yeah, I want to go to Nigeria and definitely get my first store that I'll ever have in person will definitely be in Nigeria. I can promise that, because it's more about giving to a community that I feel separated from at some points, but take a lot from. And being in Nigeria and giving clothing to a lot of places is something that I definitely see in my future.
Yeah.
So getting there is definitely something that motivates me.
Oh, I love that. Back to your social media. I feel like the Bushboy Instagram page really represent, like, your brand presence is very strong. And I think obviously your work and your full-time job and your degree in marketing contributes to that, and how well you've been able to do it. But in the intro, in the bio, it says wild child, lover boy. Yeah. So do you think you're either like more of a love child or more of a more of a wild child or more of a lover boy? Yeah,
and the wild child lover boy is kind of like, so people, it's a mantra so people can just get the idea of the brand quickly if you're not familiar. But someone called me that one day and I was like, thanks, because that's going to go in the whole model, because it really, wild child is what I represent the Nigerian part of, because even in elementary school, a lot of people don't understand being Nigerian. I'm not going to get into all the stereotypes and what you have to go through being Nigerian sometimes, but it's just common stuff that'll come up in later pieces. But the lover boy is this attitude of being American that I've adopted, things that I've resonated with, but it's because I've loved them while being Black in America. I'm Nigerian. I have a different understanding of being Black in America, but I'm Black nonetheless in a different place. And that lover boy aesthetic is stuff that culturally I loved, and people that I love and things that I love that transcend what I was taught. And the wild child is the things that people perceive as weird or as foreign, but still me nonetheless. I know you said you don't want to go into, the Nigerian stereotypes, and you don't have to, because look, no need to. But how do you want to utilize your brand and the Nigerian influences to shift perceptions? Yeah, I've just seen how a reclamation of certain things have just done so much for so many people. So I hope to, in future pieces and future marketing campaigns, feature these things that everyone can understand if they've experienced as an African American, literally coming from Africa, coming from Nigeria, coming from where you come from, and just having to conform to America and how that takes place. I will, like, my sister told me a good story once, like, you're going through the hot zone in your 10th grade English class, and now someone's looking at you like, they said Nigeria right there. You got Ebola, TJ? You just ain't never tell us. And she just like laughs it off. And it is very funny in the ignorance, but it just is something that you have to take with you and just recognize that not everyone is experienced with, and it is very foreign and individual to yourself, because there's not everyone that is Black that has experienced that, and there's not everyone who is Nigerian that I'd say that experience is excluded to. So that's what I'd kind of speak to. Yeah. Well, I'm curious, as a creative and entrepreneur, like, what are challenges that you've had to face while growing this brand and also trying to stand out from like a very oversaturated streetwear market? Yeah, I'd kind of go back to what you kind of spoke about, and having to wear multiple hats. I do all the photography for my marketing campaigns with my cousin, who just, Femi, shout out Femi. Shout out Femi. If you're watching this. She helps me with everything. My friends help me with everything. And there's been so many people that I've been able to just collaborate with. And it's been such a blessing to receive the help that I've gotten. But working by yourself on a lot of pieces, ideating a lot, what you want to do, you have to wear multiple hats. Okay. Yeah, and then just knowing that you're going to be doing things yourself and learning how to do it yourself, you're going to be an individual. You're going to get better with every shoot. Yeah. And you're going to start to develop an overall style that stands alone as an artist. In streetwear and anything, I feel like it all really has to go back to a level of authenticity. The amount of research that goes into the pieces that I develop is really something that I pride myself on. So it's more like, even though one of my pieces might look like it's just a piece, it has an underlying story that you can ask me about. And even if you reach out to me on Instagram, I'd love to just talk about
it. Yeah.
But on the website, there is more descriptions about how this ties into the overall culture of being a Bush boy. But yeah, I'd say that how storytelling goes into standing out.
Yeah. Well, how do you start your storytelling? Where does the idea come from? Does it come from like you see, oh, like this jacket, and then you start to put things together? Or do you think first of the concept and then you try to put it on to a design?
Yeah, and that's what I kind of love about it. It looks different most of the time. The only thing I wouldn't say that looks different is my ideation phase of when I'm solidifying. I will go into Procreate and I will just draft designs that I'll then collaborate with my manufacturer on. But in the ideation phase, I generally write it down in my notes. I'll be sitting with my friends, with my family, and I'll talk about an experience I had. And I'll be like, wouldn't a pair of pants with, have you ever seen the cover of the Hot Zone? It's like infrared. It's like an infrared virus, and it's like really bright and really beautiful. But what if we put that on denim? Like to reclaim this time that my sister literally had gone through that experience. Yeah. And I asked TJ about it, like, how do you feel about it? She's like, oh, that would look really nice, but what if it was embroidered? And it's a collaborative process that I have with my friends a lot. I'll ask my friends, like, how do you feel about this color sometimes? But I don't always go with them, you know. It's very important that it's a collaborative process, and I have a say so. It's my brand. That's why you get one. Yeah. That's why you get a brand, so you can make the final decision.
Exactly.
And
but it's also a lot of pressure too. Yeah. Like it's fun to have the final say so, but it's pressure because at the end of the day, it's a business, and so you do want it to sell, and you do want it to represent you. Have you ever had moments of, damn, is this gonna go well, or any sort of like?
Yeah, but you just have to let that go. Like, I found that you really just have to let that go. And I embrace all the imperfections on a lot of my pieces. Because sometimes a miscommunication with my manufacturer will happen. And it's like, well, I now have 5 shirts. Because I never go like 20 shirts deep into a manufacturer. I make sure to be very responsible. I always do like 5 pieces of a specific design, 10 pieces, get rid of them. And maybe I'll get more. Like my jerseys were something that I only made 10 of to start. Then I got more in the future. But stepping away from that, letting go of the errors and really owning them, because I'll find a new meaning in the error, like what it means to the overall story. Like one time I wanted to put a wedding ring on a t-shirt and my manufacturer put several wedding rings down the back of it. I was like, but wait, I love it because that person had several wives, and they were also on the front of the t-shirt. Fela, shout out Fela Kuti, he's on multiple of my pieces. And he's kind of the godfather of Afrobeat. And he had multiple wives, and there's more story behind that, why he had to take multiple wives. But that kind of just goes into the overall storytelling, and the mistakes sometimes come across as their own journeys, and they're going to happen, but I can just fix it later. And this is not the last thing that I'm going to do. So
have you always been like this, like sort of just this rolling with the punches and like everything's going to happen for a reason, or or is it something that you've kind of just had to learn with all the different things that you've been doing, like Diamante and through the brand, etc.? Yeah,
you definitely have to adapt an attitude of rolling with the punches, perseverance, because mistakes are going to happen, but it's about learning from these mistakes. I did see a section on their thing about lesson from an L. And every piece is a lesson. Like, you definitely have to. Sometimes people ask me why I didn't do a certain color, and it's because I did that color before. Nobody got it. So don't ask me for anything in that color again. Because like I know as the time has passed, there's just some things that I'll wait for and things that I wouldn't repeat as soon as I because I've done that in recent time, and it's just like experience that you have to definitely grow from. Knowing what is going to sell to more than just the person that's telling you to make this piece in that color, or to think about a hoodie but maybe you do this with. I'm like, I've tried something like that, and maybe it'll come back up in the future, but for right now
it's not gonna.
I can tell you that it's not. It's not marketable. It's not profitable. Yeah, but maybe in the future it will be, because things always come back up.
Seriously. Yeah. I feel like your quote unquote big break was when Monet posted in your brand. How was that? Like, how did you guys get connected? What was the reaction like after she posted?
Yeah, it was at an event on a Saturday at a coffee shop that took place. My friend at the time was running it, and she had been at that event. And I was talking to her prior, and it was just a cool moment to realize that I was talking to an influencer who came by a local coffee shop for some time. And I just went to my car. I was like, oh, I have
Wait, did you know it was her? And like, as soon as you saw her, you got it, or did it take you a second to
I was talking to her and I was like, this person looks familiar. And then I walked away and my friends were like, oh, do you know who you're talking to right there? Or who you're standing next to? I was like, they did remind me of someone that I have something for them in my trunk. So just being prepared in that moment and having the jersey that I was just working on, even that day, I think, was something that was really important to me. So I went to my trunk, put it in the bag, gave it to her, and had a little bit of a conversation on the side with her. I was wearing an outfit of another designer from DC who was a big inspiration of mine. Shout out Culturally. And she made the sweats that I was wearing at the time. Monet loved them. And she was like, oh, I could tell that you were a designer by the pants and the varsity jacket that I was wearing at the time. Gave her the jersey. And she then, like 2 weeks later, went to the K-Tronada concert and posted a bunch of content from there.
And she didn't say that she was going to do this, and you guys didn't have, it was just a very organic, natural, genuine moment.
Yeah.
And so when you saw that, who sent it to you, or did you come across it on your own? Like,
I think somebody on YouTube had seen it first. Someone that was just like following her YouTube, like, I don't remember who was the first person to reach out to me, but somebody pointed out the YouTube videos. That was the first thing that she had posted. They're like she's wearing your jersey to a concert in this YouTube video that I saw. And I was like, wow, she's probably going to post more stuff. So let me get that out. Tell my cousin Femi about it. Femi made a really good reel based off of the YouTube video, posted that. Monet commented on the reel that my cousin made for Instagram. And it was just a really great experience. She's so lovely and genuine. There was no conversation that took place about her posting it in the future. Right. But just getting her the jersey in itself was just something that was really, really important to me. So,
did you see any like growth in your account followers or people buying things? Like, what was it? What was the growth?
There was definitely a bunch of followers across TikTok and Instagram. I would say that I relaunched the jerseys and the ones that I don't like doing multiple of the same piece, especially with the jerseys. Every jersey is a one of one in that I'll sew the lace on. It might be the same fabric, but it will be a different orientation. So the fabric that Monet had worn specifically, those things went first. They were they didn't last long at all. So it was knowing that, if I get that jersey out, it'll definitely go because she was wearing it recently. So I did a relaunch because, again, those jerseys were done at the time. So having an extra one that really spoke to my brand. The jerseys are one of my favorite pieces that I've gotten the chance to make because they're American football jersey and they feature the Nigerian wedding lace, and that cross collaboration in culture is something that really speaks to my experience. Getting to design the jersey itself, something that really spoke to my experience, the colorway being green and white. In all, I'd just say that the experience really just made me aware of the fact that it could be as simple a conversation, and being a brand owner is just being about genuine, because I wouldn't feel comfortable walking up to her with a piece that didn't really speak to me, with something that didn't really show who my brand was, Even if it was just getting her a hoodie, I don't think, maybe she'd wear it once and she'd wear it to sleep, and I'd be like, oh, well, it's good to know that she has it. I love energies of pieces, once somebody has it, it's like, I know they have it, so it's great for me. But going and seeing how someone's ability from a just genuine interaction can take you somewhere. It was really just eye-opening for me, and just didn't make me any more what's the word I'm looking for? Confident in my ability to make these pieces, because I've had a genuine belief in my ability as a designer for a little bit of time. But it definitely did just make me really proud of something that I started way back when, just like Diamante, the fashion show, did, seeing that it still takes place now, even though Kevin's the one that started it.
It's legacy.
Yeah, seeing that it was able to be rebooted with a new generation of kids and people that know what it's about and are speaking to those storylines that somebody way back when started is something that I feel is really important. The energy that like comes from these things is really important. So
yeah. That's amazing. No, I mean, I remember Diamante. I did it Kevin's second year, my first year doing it.
I think it was actually his third when we had come in.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Wow. Yeah. So Kevin Martinez, amazing. Shout outs to him. But I remember after the pandemic, after we all came back from school, we were like, is this something that's going to happen again? Like, because being at a PWI, it is so important to have those spaces. And Diamante, Ibiza, all of these fashion shows and like cultural events were so important to it. So props to you for bringing that back and just like.
And it's not just me.
Not just you, of course. It was a team. It was a team. But like, sometimes it also takes one person to be like, okay, well, we're going to do this, and then bring everybody on board.
Yeah. And I'm getting to go back this year to both Ibiza and Diamante. So keeping that, those were some of the first fashion shows I had gotten to participate in, and seeing how they were also part of my story in just starting. I think it's having the ability to have a story and have something to look forward to. Because after school, after you graduate, it's really hard to find these places where you feel like people care about just a level of creativity you hold. I really love that you are doing this podcast, seeing you come from the Blacksa and seeing all the work that you started doing there and seeing you at Glamour Now. It's just all a big part of your story. And that's kind of like what I love about things like this. Having the chance to speak to you today about my brand is just a great opportunity. So thank you.
No, of course. I'm so, this is like one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, is to really like highlight and, highlight the creatives that I know in my life that are really on the rise, and that I see, not that you care, but that I see potential, but like, I see so much for you and the people that I'm interviewing that I want to like shine that light on them while they're still in this like growing phase. But before we wrap, I do want to ask, you do work full time in corporate.
Yeah.
How do you balance full time and this creative? Because me, as someone who's just starting off with this podcast, like it is hard. Like there's only so many hours in a day.
Yeah.
You also still want to have like a life. We're 24, 25. Like we're trying to go out, have a good time, whatever. So how have you been able to balance both of those?
I'd say the balance is actually really important, because there's been periods of time where, you worry that if that you're at an event where you're selling your clothing and people aren't really gravitating towards you, and maybe it's not you, but it is something that you are really looking forward to. And the hope that you have that your brand will succeed that day is just really a lot of pressure sometimes. My first vending events were some of my most pressure filled, because it's like the first time you're putting yourself out there and, you really want to do well. And having the knowledge that you're going to be working at the end of the day on Monday is something that I really take a lot from. It's not the end of the world that I'm not selling here. I'm going to go home and I'm going to be okay. And at the end of the day, people will like your brand one day and not like it another day. And you're going to be okay, because you have a belief in yourself based off of the other professional experiences that you have, and the knowledge that there's a place for you if this doesn't work out, but this is a passion project. So it's not really about it working out in the first place.
I love that perspective, because a lot of times, I mean, even I'm calling this a passion project too, but there's still a part of me where it's like, I'm still putting my brand and my identity behind it. So it's like, I still want it to do really well. And I want to make it the best that it can be. But I think it's really powerful what you were saying about like, I still have a job on Monday. You know what I mean? Like my livelihood is not dependent on this, which allows you to have sometimes more creativity than if you had to pay the bills with this job. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. And when you have that, there's a lot of influencers, a lot of video creators that I've seen that have just been like, at the point where I really started monetizing it, it was just like, do I really love doing this anymore? And that's something that I really don't ever want to feel.
Agreed.
There's a time in which I see Bushboy taking over and maybe not working as full-time in corporate as I do right now. But that time will come, and it'll be, again, a part of the story that I've been able to take place in my life. Sometime that I was able to work on both at the same time, and now a time where it's full-time. Yeah. It's definitely something that I look forward to.
Yeah. So. One thing that, among the many things that I noticed on your Instagram is the logo. And even in me creating this brand, the logo is so important. Just the
Yeah.
aesthetics of everything. It has to be so intentional. Did you create the logo?
Yeah, I did. I drew it
Wow.
myself. It was actually at my first role at Hearst magazines, where I was
Wow.
working with, like, I got to see a lot of campaigns, photography and things taking place. And I felt very inspired during that period of time. When you're first starting, I'd say you feel the most inspired. And so, yeah, I wanted to do a yin and yang symbol in some way that didn't feel played out. So I did the green and white, given that those are Nigeria's colors, swirling around the same hearts, given that the mantra is wild child, lover boy, the hearts being their own. Yeah, it all just very much spoke to what I felt like I wanted to represent my brand as. And seeing that I didn't think that's the end. You can have a rebrand.
Of course.
I just never felt the need to from that point. You know, I was like I'm still very proud of it.
No, it's a killer logo. Like I saw that and I was like, wow, like it perfectly. I mean, I didn't even really peep like the heart and everything. Obviously you do as the head of the brand and the designer, but like just looking at it as a consumer, it felt like it fit with everything that you were, like the clothing and the colors and everything. It felt very cohesive, which is really important.
It means a lot. No, and just speaking as a brand owner, you know, it's just hard to always. I have a few logos that I also use on some other pieces. It's hard to find things that capture your brand in its full functionality, and I felt like that did. So it means a lot.
Yeah, no, of course. My last question before we end is just, what's next for the brand? Are there any like upcoming projects or collaborations that you're really excited about?
Yeah, I've been working on my fall winter collection for 2025. The new pieces some of them have been out and some of them are coming out in the next 2 weeks. I have some fashion shows. I got invited to Tweze, which is a Rutgers fashion show this year, which is a new one for me. I'm going back to DC to do a BSN Diamante this year again. And hopefully I'll do some more vending events some point in the year and grow from there. But spring 2025, summer 2025 is going to come out at some point too, working on the ideas for that. Generally, yeah, the brand has been about growth, and each year it's definitely happening in new ways. Last year it was Monet, and hopefully in the near future, I'm hoping to send her a care package of stuff very soon. I had some communication with the teams there.
Good.
And that's going to continue.
Keep that relationship, cultivate that relationship.
For sure. And
maybe send Jalen something.
Yeah, you're definitely, and you know, I'll definitely have something for you in the near future too. Because I see you wearing the green and white right now.
Okay, you know what? I had to come represent. You know, I'm like 25% Nigerian,
and I know that. And Nigerian will always know another Nigerian.
Oh, period.
Nigerian somewhere in your line.
Somewhere. And,
yeah.
When I heard the Afro beats, I was like, okay, this sounds like me.
No, I feel it. I feel that because even if you don't like the culture necessarily, I don't know how you can't like a culture, but the Afrobeats taking worldwide was also an inspiration for Bushboy, and knowing that people resonate with the music, so you should be able to resonate with the stories these music, such as Fela, coming from the originations of this art style and so on, so much more. Yeah, it's very important to recognize that it's a time now to generate Bushboy and to do things. So finding the time to do your thing, there are a lot of perfectionists I see that wait for the perfect moment, but it's more about starting. And I felt like right now is the perfect time to start.
Yeah.
And,
that's such a key takeaway. And so that's like a trend that I'm seeing amongst a lot of like creatives that I've been talking to, is like, sometimes being a perfectionist is good because you're paying attention to detail, et cetera, but you can't let that perfection keep you from starting and from like executing something, you know, because then those are the moments where you look down the road and you see someone else that has your idea and it's like, oh, I should have done it. And it's like, but you did it. Like you didn't do it. You know what I mean?
That's what,
and that's the worst. That's the worst feeling. That's why with the podcast, I was like, I have to do this because it's such a good idea. It's such an important story to tell and such an important opportunity to have to speak to you guys, that I just have to go ahead and do it. But Sam, thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'd love to come back in the future, having won my bet and speak to more things. So I'd definitely love to be invited again.
Of course. Where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. The brand is called Bushboy, but the Instagram is @BushboyBrand.
Follow me at Monique WNYC on Instagram. But thank you guys so much for listening, and see you soon.